into the tool. All right? And Albert's already responding to that. So I need the first question answered, okay? And I want you to be very straightforward. How well do you know yourself? How well do you know yourself from 1 to 10? Just put it out there. Let's just hear what you feel, and that's fine. It's reality. This is how well I know myself.
Where's the link to the Jamboard?
What's that? The link. Go ahead. Lou, you want to go ahead and put the link again?
Sure. I'm actually copying and pasting. One quick second.
Priyanka, I can't see your face, young lady. Let me see the video. When you have a chance, turn on your video. That's right. I'm going to hold you accountable, young lady. Okay. There you go. I haven't seen you in a while. All right. So remember, one of the main things that you're doing as a coach is you really want to kind of focus on the individual, right? And understanding, you know, what level do they fit in? If you have a person that feels that they're a 10, how does your coaching style change compared to when you see somebody that's a 1 or 2? I'm curious, if you're a coach and you're working with individuals and you ask this question, how well do you know yourself? And they tell you they're a 10. What does that mean to you? How do you take that as a coach? How do you work with that? What are some red flags or good things that could come out of that?
I would think that if they're putting in a 10, that they think a lot of themselves. So if it was me, I would ask some test questions or some questions just to see where they're really at.
That's a coach for you. Okay, let me ask you some questions then. Let me get you. No, you're wrong. You're not a 10. You're a 2.
They probably know that means to me, they know their strengths and their weaknesses, so they can be upfront and where their weaknesses are and where they need coaching. So they probably know that if they truly are a 10.
Yeah,
so
that's the question.
So, yeah.
That's a good point. Anybody else? Has anybody ever coached somebody that feels that they're a 10? Has anybody ever coached or talked to somebody that you felt this guy for sure, he feels he's a 10 or she feels she's a 10?
So my question would be, is he really a 10?
Well,
Because in a social environment, many times, even in our interviews, when we ask how good are you in scale of 1 to 10, most of them tend to go to the higher number just to show that they know better. Is he really a 10? So we will start from basics. I basically ask some questions in a very basic level to determine whether he's really what he says. And from there, I take the conversation forward.
I love it. And it's all relative, guys. It's all relative, right? Because let me give you my personal opinion. When I went into Agile and you went in for the first time and they taught you Scrum, did you think that was like freaking easy? Like ceremonies, artifacts, all you have to do is follow this process. It was like, compared to my PMP that I had to study for freaking 6 months to learn every freaking process that I need. I thought this was like, hey, this is a piece of cake. As soon as I opened up that onion, guess what came out? More layers of like, oh, are you talking about coaching people? Are you talking about them not liking each other? Are you talking about trying to build a high-performing team with people that haven't necessarily worked together? Then it started opening up more and more. And even today, I still struggle with the amount of work that it takes and understanding that it takes to not just know myself, but how to interact with all the right people at the right time. It's tough, guys, for me. So sometimes when I see a 9 or a 10, I wonder in my brain, whether the person feels like they've learned enough. They've learned enough, and now there really isn't that much space for more learning. That's my hypothesis. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's true until you talk through them and you work with them, right? Does that make sense? So that's the first question. So think about it. You guys are all coaches and you're working with people. And if people have what is called a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, many times when you see growth mindseted people, they'll tell you, I have so much more to learn. They're just that type of people. They just don't see it like, I know something, but there's just so much more that I can absorb to get to that.
So that means to me that they would know more about themselves because they realize how much they need to know. So they would rate higher. So again, just because they rate themselves at 9 doesn't mean they don't have more to learn. They may know I have a lot to learn and they understand that about themselves. So
that's a good point. That's a way of flipping that, Bob. Way to flip that. So he's saying, hey, I'm a 9 and a 10 because I know how much I don't know, which is a great point that Bob is bringing there. Hey, I know how well that I'm really a 2 because I don't really know everything there's out there. It's an interesting conversation. All right, let's go to the next slide.
Wait. Can I make one last point?
Sure,
on the other side, you have a 10, but what if someone put down a 1? I would question that as well.
That's a
You
great
know, like, why did you choose 1? And let's talk about it.
It's a conversation piece. It's a conversation piece, right? So guys, well, I'm taking you through these steps. They're actually 14 questions. And these questions to me are very essential for leaders or for anyone in an Agile team to kind of self-realize a lot of the things that are within them. Every time I have a retro, you guys can relate to this. How many times have you had a retrospect and you had a whole bunch of people there and you said, hey, what's your pain point? What's the first thing that they do? Anybody know? They point outward to everyone else. That's all they do. The problem lies over there. It isn't until I start having them slowly digest it and say, well, what could you have done? So every question that I'm giving you here, it leans back to you. It leans back to you. All right. So let's keep going through this and see what happens. All right. So ready for the next question? Okay, here's the next question. So now that I asked them the first question to understand, great. Now, how important is it for managers and leaders to experiment, try new methods to innovate their leadership style to self-improve? How important is it? So what number would you guys put there? How important is it for leaders to experiment, to figure things out, to do something different? All right? This is going to be a trap. So everybody's going to put a 10. Just understand there's a trap behind this. There's a trap behind this door. But go ahead and put a 10. I'm okay with putting 10s. Put them all up there real quick. All right? And somebody, no, put a 6. Come on. No, you guys were planning a 10. Okay, 100. I love that. I love that. So here's the trap. You guys ready for the trap? Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question now. Go ahead, Nelu. Go ahead and go to the next question. All right. First of all, I want to make sure you guys understand that these percentages are clear, that emotional intelligence accounts for over 90%, okay, of effective leaders. So the difference between an ineffective and an effective leader, okay? So that's how important emotional intelligence is. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so here's the question. What are the top things you are trying this month, because you guys said how important experimenting is as a leader? Now you're gonna have to prove it to me. Now there's no more fake in the funk. Show me, what are you really experimenting with? Show me that it's so important, because some of you rated 100. Show me what exactly you're experimenting with this month. Right? Trying this month to experiment, innovate your leadership approach with your teams or peers. So think about it. You're innovating not just with the teams, but also your peers. Show me. Oh, I'm not seeing any stickies up there. What's going on, guys? Come on. Show me the money. Carla, show me the money, young lady. I see you smiling. Show me what you've been experimenting with. Give me that. What are the top things you are trying this month to experiment, innovate, becoming more vulnerable? I love that. Whoever put that, I love that. Who else? What have you been doing, leaders? Come on. Talk less. I love that one. Good job. That's a good one. Guys, help me move those stickies around. Thank you. Being brave. That's a tough one. Showing more empathy. Love it. All right, all right. Awesome, awesome. Building trust. So I guess, which one would we pick on here, guys? Which is the one that we want to maybe dive deeper into? Which one did you like? Which one do you guys want to pick on? You can unmute yourself, guys. Which one do you guys like that you want to pick on right now out of this group?
I should do a circle voting thing.
I like the challenge nicely.
Okay, how about
How about challenge nicely?
challenge nicely? Challenge nicely. So who wants? So when you say challenge nicely, give me some specifics. How are you doing that? What methods are you doing? What are we doing to challenge nicely? Who's got an answer to challenging nicely?
I think when you say challenge nicely, it's sort of like throwing out bait. Let's see who comes and what that person is up to. Is that person ready to grab it, or he's hitting around, checking it out? So he's sort of throwing out something, and let's hear from the crowd, because it's normally statistically it's assumed that 10% of the team would be more aggressive or assuming, while 10% or 20% would be submissive. And most of them, and in between, most of them are going to be in between those. So idea is to get the contribution going, get everybody motivated, and see who comes up with what and what kind of opposition and what kind of assumptions people are making. So that's the reason, you want to throw out a little bit baits, you want to throw in a little bit pep talk, a little bit motivational, therapy or lecture. So depending upon the mood and the nature of the crowd and the subject matter we have.
Okay, so I guess you're telling me challenge nicely because maybe in the past you haven't challenged nicely. You were very blunt or very, that's why you're testing something different. Maybe this fails. Guys, do not assume the niceness. Okay, let's be very straightforward with each other, guys. We are testing things out. And maybe niceness doesn't work. Does that sound silly or what? Maybe speaking in a nice term, maybe these people won't get it. Maybe it's a football team.
I would say,
I don't know.
I would say it depends on the maturity of the team.
The what? The trait of the team, you said?
The maturity of the team.
I think I'll go back to what I was saying last time. If we have established what we are trying to achieve and why we are here, then it makes a lot easier. So you don't have to be a dictator. You don't have to really be bully or be aggressive. So the idea is to define the parameters and the goal and the game plan, rules, sort of agenda. Then you hit around, lay the bait.
Okay.
So, Rick?
Yes.
So for me, the challenge nicely was what we're humans, right? So we're creatures of habit, and we do things that we're comfortable with, and we tend to stay in that comfort zone. So for me, the challenging nicely was, how do we challenge other people in a way that they don't feel like they're being singled out, but you challenge them to push those boundaries, right? To go outside of those comfort zones, because that's, I mean, you've seen all the memes, right? We grow when we're outside the comfort zone. So as a coach, for me, it's understanding those people. I know what they're comfortable with. You know, developers are comfortable with coding. Many of them are not comfortable with speaking. So how do I help them, you know, and challenge in such a way that they feel that they're being supported while still kind of breaking out and getting into that less comfortable zone, but growing professionally. So that's what that meant to me. I put that in there.
Christina, let me ask you a question. How would you like to be challenged?
Oh, wow. I'm a talker. I'm always a talker, but I don't like to take center stage. I don't always like to take center stage. Once I'm up there, good luck getting me out. But I'm not that person to get out there and volunteer a lot for a lot of things. So that would be challenging to me. And you've done it before. You've tried to get me out there, and I've done it. And sometimes I've risen to the occasion, and others not so much.
Awesome. All right. And any other item that we want to talk about this list here? Thank you, Christina.
I have one question, Rick. Do you approve the hot seat approach? You know, if somebody is aggressive, I mean, I have been on the hot seat, but I'm very good at turning.
What you mean by hot seat, just to be clear, is where you put somebody in the middle, and then you have strong conversations related to, you know, working with this individual. What do you define by hot seat? There's several implementations that I've seen of that.
Okay, I'm talking about the 10% of strong personalities. So you can really, you know, avoid them. So you have to sort of put them on hot seat if they are really prepared for it, or let them have their word and hey, just keep quiet now. Don't say that, but in a way. But most of the time they would like to be in the center stage and reply to everybody's question, or the direct question and answers from me, from the coach. So that's what I mean. Just you can choose who your target is going to be.
So I'm still trying to understand the way you're responding. The way I'm interpreting right now is you mentioned something about 10% and people that feel like they're against what you're trying to do. Is that what you mean? Or I'm still trying to understand that concept of what you're stating to me. Can you phrase it in a different way?
I wasn't really referring to for or against. It's just some folks are more opinionated, and they don't always you know, they are sort of stepping on others. So those kind of people, you know, you want to just address that so that everybody else don't feel left out or walked over, stepped on them. So I'm just talking about folks having very strong opinions and they don't want to budge out.
So I understand people that have very strong opinions. I understand that they take over meetings. I understand that they provide a lot of pressure to the organization and to groups. And how do I, as a coach, deal with people that are of that mindset? Does anybody want to answer that question? Does anybody want to answer, how do you deal with somebody that's stronghold, very aggressive, and are very opinionated in a group setting?
This is one thing which I tried some time back. Used the liberating structure model of Weiskraut's model. So what I did, you're not able to hear. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I used the liberating structure model, Weiskraut's, and the coaching conversation, that model. What I did is the person, I took one person who is not heard, or the people who are dominating over him or taking over the meetings. So I took this person, and the problem is I am not heard in any meetings. I do have my own opinions and ideas, but I am not heard. How can I get heard? This is the problem statement I told. And the people who are coaching is nothing but those people who are taking over the meetings. Now what happens is they need to come up with a solution where this person is actually getting some answer, how he can. And finally, I turn the question, how many of us are feeling this? And I saw improvements, not in a big way, but then there are very small stepping stones. Some of them stop taking over the meetings, they start listening, they contribute, they discuss. There were some progress, but not a lot.
Okay.
I think
I'll share my quick thing. So with people like that, I do social agreements with the bigger group so that I can get a little bit more traction. Because if it's only me fighting this battle, I'm not going to be able to succeed. So that gives me a lot more saying, guys, we're all going to be heard, and we're all going to be patient with other people and making sure that we all have that. Because again, that gives me as a facilitator the ability to now implement that a little bit more strongful if I need to, right? So that's one of the tools that I use to make sure I level set. I also have a lot of conversations on the side note to have those things like, do you understand that other people also want to chime in, and do you understand that they're not going to be working with us if they don't get their voice heard, and how important it is for other people to actually get their voice heard. I want to move forward because we have a lot of things we need to cover, but we went into this very, very probably deeper than I wanted to, but I wish I could talk further into that. All right, let's keep going with more challenges. Go to the next one. Hey, Lou, you there with us? All right, so here's the next question. How well do you understand your peers, your teams? So again, every question that I'm asking you, I'm actually to point back to yourself. So now you're a leader in an organization, and I'm asking you for this. How well do you understand your peers, your teams, and what they need to be comfortable experimenting and learning new things? What strategies are you executing to help them? So before I would have point to everyone else as the problem. Now I'm asking you to figure out, what are you doing to help them? It's a change. It's a change when you do retrospectives to now point at them. So answer these questions. How well do you understand your peers and your teams and what they need to be comfortable experimenting and learning new things? And then what strategies are you executing to help them? Who can help me with that? Put some stickies up there. How well do you understand your peers? So I guess that's a number, like how well do you understand? But then more, I'm interested in the strategy. What are you doing to execute to help them? Determine their objectives, okay? Anybody else? Working agreements. Provide answers. Love it. No blame approach. So I see many of you answering these questions. Know their pain point. I love that. Whoever put that, you got a star from me. Okay? All right. The answers: building a safe environment. Okay. Building a safe environment for experiment. So again, let's take a look at what I'm asking here. First question is, how well do you understand your peers? How many of you really have gone across your peers? This is what I've done. I've had exercises where I've had peers come together, and the first thing they tell me is that they're not a team. The first thing that they tell me is, my team is the group that I'm working with, but not the people at this horizontal level. That's the first thing they tell me. So they don't invest almost any time in really developing relationships and understanding them better and having better conversations with them. It's as long as I do my job, I'm good. So this is one of the biggest failures for me when I'm coaching is how to get them to actually interact better. So that's the first question. So understanding your teams is also really important. Here's a question for you guys. Do you guys have a backlog? Do you guys store a backlog of what you're working with your teams and how you're helping them? Not what they're doing for you. No. The opposite. The opposite. What you're doing for them. Are you doing that? I have talked to many leaders and they have no idea. They never store that piece. But you know what the other piece they do? Everything they're doing for you, you're storing that one. Oh, you got that one well established. What you're doing for them and how you're helping them. Imagine if it was flipped. There's this whole thing now about, instead of just being, hey, I just got a new management job. Imagine if as soon as you get a management job, you have to actually prove yourself as a leader. Your teams are going to be voting you whether you really deserve to be a leader. Imagine if we would flip that world around. Think about it. Anybody that gets hired, they get evaluated by their peers. They got a 90-day trial period. Let's flip it around, 90 days, and you have to prove that you're listening to us, that you're helping us, and that you're coaching us. Then you can keep your job. How about that? Everybody like that idea?
That's a great idea, Rick.
Let's
Never thought about it that way.
It would be an interesting situation, right? To make that happen from a cultural perspective. So the next thing I'm talking about here is, again, I'm asking you to find a strategy for executing and helping them. So that's that backlog that I mentioned. And I don't want you to just think of it from your team. Many of you, okay, might have a strategy. Peers, you probably don't. How many of you have a strategy for your boss? Give me an example of any of you that have a few ticket items that you're saying, this is how I'm going to help my boss get to the next level of leadership. Somebody share one thing that hasn't spoken. I know some of you have spoken. I want to hear other voices. Somebody share something that you're saying, this is how I'm helping to lead up.
I have something that I can share. My manager and I were pretty close, and I think that what worked for us is exactly that mindset. How do I set you up for success? And so what I would do with him is just make sure that not only am I giving him a little bit of, insight into what's going on, within the team, not too much. And I used to get carried over with too much information, but just enough just to, in case his boss asks, he can be set up for success. And I found myself sort of doing a combination of, a little bit of teaching in terms of Agile or Scrum, but then at the same time, showing him how successful it was.
So I love that, Carla, but I would challenge the next level of that. Yes, I can help you with process, but can you help your boss with behavior stuff? Can you help them with the mindset? Can you strategize? Remember, it's a strategy. It's not just information. I'm just going to give you information and you're good. It's an actual strategy. Like, I might get you some training. I might get you to pair up with this other boss there that I know knows Agile a little bit more. See, you're strategizing on how to help them, which is a different level than just information. But you did a great job. But that's what I'm challenging. When you get out of this meeting, this whole little booklet that you're creating, you should be writing that down as, this is the stuff that I'm going to be working on. I expect you to come up with some serious, look what I've done. All right, let's get to the next one. Go ahead, Nelu, switch it. All right, so this is going to be very vulnerable here, guys. I'm sorry, I don't want any crying. Your job is to look at these things and tell me reality. Tell me really what is your blind spots. Tell me your bias. your tendencies, your limitations. What motivates you? I want to see stickies up there. Good luck with that. Again, very personal. Nobody knows who's putting what up there, so don't worry about it. But go ahead and put it up there. Yes, uncomfortable feeling. I can see the faces. I'm looking at the interaction here. How uncomfortable is this? What are we putting as goals? What motivates you? Goals, interesting. Okay, they went straight to the motivation part. I am new to coaching. That's my limitation. Okay, I like that. Hidden agendas. Well, what are you putting for? Oh, blind spots or bias. Hidden agenda. Bias, hidden agenda. Interesting. Okay. Race and gender and age. That is so, look at that. And they're being very open. They're saying it's a bias. Wow, that's awesome. I can't see that too well. I'm hoping I can see better, but I can't. Challenges. I don't know what challenges are. We're moving things too fast for my eyes. People with their own agenda. Okay. Must prove myself. What's that one? That's tendencies to prove yourself. Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. Overthinking things. This is really great. What motivates you? People motivate you. Challenges, success. Lack of knowledge is the limitation. All right. So a great job so far. Now notice my second question. If somebody moves the sticky down, they can move the sticky down. I can go. Awesome. Thank you. So the second question that I would ask you. So now you have these limitations, and I know some people talked earlier about being more vulnerable to their teams and vulnerable to people. So the question is, have you shared this with anybody? And if you've not, why? So how many of you have had the opportunity to actually go this deep into sharing some of these things with some of the team members or some friend or whatever? I'm just curious. Okay. So I'm hearing a little bit of silence. I'm hearing silence, but that's okay. So it's tough to share these things. Some of these things are difficult to come up with. So you might pick smaller things that you want to share, because we talked about vulnerability, and that's the first area that you need to do. Remember, when you're establishing trust and you're working with people, you got to show that first vulnerability. I'm human. I have limitations. The bias is scary because we all have bias. I'm sorry, we all have bias. Are you aware of that bias? Think about interviewing people. Think about the people you hired. Do they happen to look like you? Do they happen to have the same type of attitude you have? Why? Is it because that's the only way, that attitude is the only way to have that position? You cannot have another type of person in that position? It's just very interesting, what we have, working behind the scenes. Nelu, put the PowerPoint slide down a second. I just want to show something. So you guys have ever seen this slide here that talks about us as in how we, consciously do things? That's why the first question that I asked you was, how well do you know yourself? And are you aware that only 10% is your conscious mind? And 90% is your subconscious mind. So if you said you know yourself well, then you have a very tied in concepts of what your subconscious mind is thinking. You're seeing yourself, and you have a pretty good grasp of all these things. Your habits, your emotions, all those things are in check. Yet they're the subconscious. That means you can't just bring them out. They come out by themselves, and they do things, and you had no idea they're doing that. You ready to show you the proof? Okay, I'm going to show you the proof. Go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, let's do this real quick. One more time. Let's go through this quick. Go ahead, one more time. Hit enter. Okay, everyone take a look at that picture. She looks pretty attractive. Yeah, okay. Let's go to the next picture. What happened? Anybody, tell me what happened. And Joe, you cannot speak. Victoria, you cannot speak. What happened? Why does this person look completely disfigured? And I did not see that or see that when I first saw this picture. What happened?
The perspective changed.
The perspective changed. I like that. Anybody else?
The eyelids.
The eyelids? What about the eyelids? Huh?
They're reversed.
They're reversed. Yeah, but what happened? Why didn't you see that immediately when she flipped around? Why aren't you noticing that? Come on, we're in touch with we know what's going on. Everyone's at 9 and 10, right? We all know about ourselves. What happened?
I won't take it seriously.
Huh? What's that?
I won't take it seriously. Who knows what it is?
We have a tendency to fill in what we can't see. So that's right.
We have mental models already established to say this is how a person will look like.
Exactly. In your brain,
when that is shifting it is different.
Your brain fills it up. That's freaking amazing. That because you're not accustomed to seeing people upside down, your brain takes it within themselves to fill in the dots and say, hey, guess what? This is reality for you. Say what? Your brain is playing with your reality. So again, I ask you, how well do you know yourself? And when you're overconfident in saying, this is how reality is showing me, how could you not see this? Just think about that when you're coaching others. So don't think that your answer is the right answer. There's a lot of variables involved. Ready for the next one? Let's go. Go to the next one. That was your cue, Nadu. Here, what color do you see that shoe? Come on, anybody that hasn't seen this shoe before, what color do you see it?
The shoe or the shoelace?
The shoe.
Pink and white.
Or the stripe?
The shoelaces, and the stripes.
It's pink and white.
Pink and white.
Yep.
Wow.
I see gray and like turquoise.
Yeah.
Turquoise, yes. Gray and turquoise.
That's like a mint green.
Okay.
Oh man, I thought it was gonna be all the ladies saw pink and all the guys saw green.
It's a Miami Dolphins color.
Nope, I see pink and white.
Okay, so let me give you what the answer is. It is pink and white because it's what I see. Okay, I see pink and white, so that's the right answer. Everyone else, you're wrong, and you have to go get checked. You guys have some problems that we need to make sure. This reminds me of when I coach somebody and I ask them, I'm going to help you with your problem. I'm going to help fix you. You do not fix people. You partner with them and you work with them, because the answer again isn't always your way or the highway. Understand, and I know they say a whole theory about right brain, left brain. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's just things differently. All right, let's do another one, because I know you're excited about all this stuff because you guys know yourself. This is an easy one, and all I need is $100. All I need is $100. Okay, this is an easy peasy. Look at A and look at B. Look at A and look at B. I need somebody to bet with me that those colors are not the same. That those colors are not, and they're willing to bet $100. Is anybody willing to bet $100 with me that those colors are not the same? Or excuse me, let me flip that around. I'm telling you that A and B's color is the same, and I'm willing to bet $100 right now, and I'm going to put it to you cash. I'm going to take it to your house. Who's willing to take that bet with me?
I'll only be interested if you bring it to my house.
Okay, I'm bringing it to your house, man. I'm bringing it to your house. Get ready.
I live in Phoenix.
Are you talking about the letters or the background?
I'm talking about the square itself. The square itself. The square itself. Is it the same color? Yes or no?
I think because we already know what your brain is already telling you that when you see this, there should be two different colors in there to differentiate them. So I'll definitely think it's two different colors. So it might be the same, but my brain is telling me they're two different colors.
Yeah. So you want to throw me 100? Throw me 100. Okay. So it is the same color. It is the same color. And the only way you could do that is I have to send you this picture, and then you can just do a copy and paste of the same square, and then look at them next to each other. Because you have white surrounding the other one, it kind of changes the color underneath. Because you have the dark colors surrounding the light color, it kind of adjusts. So it plays tricks on your mind. And go to the next slide. I know that this doesn't make sense to you because it's still, you can't see this. I'm going to send you this. And when you copy and paste by snatching the small things and you see the same color, then you'll be convinced. Again, all I'm trying to tell you is that your mind plays tricks on you. Please be aware that, please be open to learn new things, to grow. Okay? All right, let's go back to the Jamboard. Jamboard.
I was gonna say, I think there's some photoshopping in there.
No Photoshop. You better send me the $100 if you guys thought about it. Send me the 100 because I need it. All right. So let's go to the next question. Go to the next question. Okay. All right. So this is again about you experimenting. Okay. So I need you guys to experiment. Do you have a few hypotheses of ways of improving yourself? And I know we said that earlier about improving and what are you doing, but I'm just curious, what is your hypothesis behind doing this new thing? Like, how would you state that? I am trying this because I think it's going to do this. What's your hypothesis? I'm trying this new, better and effective listener. So you are doing what to do that? What's your, so you have to have a game plan to how to be an effective. What do you think the change is going to be, right? Yoga for stress relief. Okay, so let's take that one for account. So you're telling me that you're going to do yoga and that somehow your stress is going to be lighter, right? That you will not feel as much stress. Pretty cool. Okay. What else? I like that format. So think of it that format. What are you trying to do? And why do you think it's going to work? Go down rabbit holes in researching subjects. Okay. Doing something outside your comfort zone. So I'm still trying to understand the hype. So again, I'm looking for a few hypotheses. I'm going to test this out because I think it's going to do this for me. I'm going to test this out. Drink alcohol, clarity of mind. Okay, there you go. They think that if you drink alcohol, somehow my mind is going to be a lot clearer. I wonder who mentioned that. And Marcelo's not here. So I'm looking around to see who's actually having a drink. Okay, so the whole moral of what we're trying to do here, guys, is that I need you to experiment. I need you to have hypotheses and test them out and see if it goes or doesn't go. What's the biggest failure? Okay, give me the biggest failure you've done this month. Someone share with me the biggest failure you've done this month and be proud of it. Come on, not everybody at once. And if you've talked already, do not speak. The biggest failure you've done this month. Walter, I want to hear a failure there, young man. Talk to me.
I would say
I had an opportunity. That was my biggest fear, was not acting on an opportunity that was presented to me.
Okay, so you didn't act on an opportunity. Okay.
Right. I didn't act with a sense of urgency. I was very slow to move, and that opportunity passed me by.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, Walter. Anybody else that hasn't spoken? I'm trying to give other people time. I know some of us, again, are very active, but I'm trying to give someone else share a deep learning that occurred this month that you want to share. Raquel, I'm going to put you on the spot, young lady. Tell me, what experiment did you did that didn't work the way you wanted to? Come on, I'm sorry. Unmute yourself, young lady. We all want to hear this.
What failure I had this week?
You want to go a week or you want to go a day? That's fine. I'm okay with a day. I gave you a month.
Oh, no.
Huh? What failure or major learning did you experiment with?
I'm sorry, Rick. I just got thrown that I'm left brain. I'm still wondering how everybody started out pink and I'm so green.
She's still stuck in the shoe, man. She's still stuck in the shoe. Let's get somebody else. She's still stuck in the shoe.
Okay, the failure I had this week.
Now, Rick.
Go ahead, Walter.
Oh, well, I wanted to add to that one of my hypotheses that I was trying was to become a better presenter and speaker. And so I was trying that through Zoom sessions of of remote acting classes to be able to become better, in my presentation when I speak with others. I feel if I'm improving, there's still jargon that needs to be learned, with feeling and becoming a lot better with what I'm doing. That makes sense.
Love it. Thank you, Walt.
That's actually, if I can add, that's actually really great to do, especially nowadays where everyone is working remote. So everything we do is virtual. So it's an art. It's like an art form to make sure that we have these meetings where you can be engaging, where you can bring people in, where it's not boring to them. It's like, it's great. I think I have the same goal for myself as well. How can I be more engaging and how can I engage people more?
Awesome. Raquel, I'm still not leaving you, so don't even try.
Oh, okay.
Hiding from this, just in case.
Well, to continue on the same note, I have, all these Zoom meetings and you think you're prepared, everything is right in place. And then you see the battery light turns on and you have to grab real quick because you're the host. So, it's not, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to move away and, ducking from the screen and all of that, try to look professional. So I'm getting better at it. I'm working at it, but that is a thing that bothers me.
Okay, great job. So This is the kind of stuff, again, imagine if you would share it with your team members. Imagine what that would give you. Imagine how that opens doors. I know that some of us feel uncomfortable as in, that's not what I do with my, let's say you're a manager of 10 people. That's just not what I do. I do not, I got to always stand, away from them because just in case I need to fire them, I don't want to get too personal with them, right? That whole old mindset. All right. Awesome. Let's go to the next one. Did somebody else have another question? I want to make sure before we move. All right, let's go. Okay. Here's a question. With all the stuff that you have to do and all the important things that you want to achieve, do you feel you need to have more information, motivation, or empowerment to take action? Think about the work in your company and you want to have the biggest bang, to helping the organization. Do you think you need more information, motivation, or empowerment to take action? Wow, we got the three. Awesome. So you just gave us a quick blend. So again, when you're coaching somebody, be careful how you coach them, right? If you're coaching somebody and they don't know the basics, no matter what, you got to get them to understand the basics. So you got to give them information. So you got to first start with information. Now let's pretend they have all the information they need, but they're still not making traction. Then is when you're going to look at motivation. Then is when you're going to look at two different areas of concentration. Are you looking at that when you're helping people? Are you observing that? Are you asking the question? Why aren't they convinced? Of course, your way is the right way, of course. But why aren't they convinced? And then the next question I always ask my team is, again, is it empowerment? The reason why you're not taking these actions is because you're not empowered. I'll tell you something that happened to me really, really, really upsetting. It's an escalation email. How many ever received an escalation email about yourself? About that? Somebody escalated something about me. You believe the nerve of somebody doing that?
Rick, give me names. That's all I need. Just give me names. I'll take care of it.
For somebody to escalate, are you out of your mind? Why would you do that? But I wasn't upset about that. I was upset about that they escalated something and didn't CC me.
Yeah.
And they were saying things and they escalated all the way to the sea levels.
But question, did they talk to you first before they escalated?
No, they didn't even talk to me.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
not good.
really upsetting that person didn't have that communication. So my question to them was, are you really empowered? Is your boss empowering you to have conversation across teams? Some bosses don't do that. Before you have any conversations across another team, you need to CC me. And that was the problem with this individual. It wasn't that the person was actually a good person, but because they were stressed out by their boss, they needed to escalate anything that went across departments. So that was an interesting focus area for this week. Everything was settled and everything is calm now, but it was exciting stuff. All right, let's move to the next one. Okay, here's another one for you. Good luck with this one. What tools and techniques have you used to assess yourself? List them out. Just because you know that you know what you need to improve in, just because you're taking steps in that direction, guess what? That doesn't mean anything if you're not measuring it. How many of you are truly measuring how you're doing and whether you're self-improving? I love the 350. Is it 350? Is that 350 degree feedback? Or is it 180?
Changed.
365? What is it?
360.
All right. So I love that. I love the 360. The Belvin. Anybody want to tell me about the Belvin? I know Christina's excited about talking about that. No? Christina, you're excited about that? You want to share what that is?
So Belvin is it's a tool, right? And you're
muted. I know you're saying, Rick, you're awesome.
Sorry. So Belvin is a tool to assess how you contribute to teams, right? How people observe your behaviors. So you fill out a few questions, right? I think it's like filling out your own. I think it's like 5-7 questions. And then you pick 6 people, right? About 6 people that you've worked with that have observed you in a working environment. And then they get to fill out questions about your behavior. Now, this is not about, oh, she's nice. Oh, it's how is this person in a working environment? And then after all of that is done, Belvin computes it, their stuff, they work their magic, right? And then they spew how you are a contributor to a team. How do you contribute to a team? And I think there's like, I forget, but I think there's like 12 or 14, something like that, ways in which someone contributes to a team. And so based on that, you realize, your areas of weakness, your areas of strength, because, and other people's areas of weakness and areas of strength, right? So that you are using these people in the best way possible inside your team. You don't want to ask people to look at a PowerPoint and make it beautiful if they're not that detailed. Like Bob Sarnak is an extremely detailed person. So if you want a PowerPoint that looks good, you do it, and then you give it to him to shine it and polish it up. And then he's that person, right? For that kind of detail and implementation. I'm not necessarily that person. So it basically tells you how you can use everyone's strengths.
All the tools required here. Okay, so first thing, Git, on AWS instances, Git will be already installed. So you do not have to install Git.
So, yeah. So Christina is role-based. So as you were saying, I'm a completer finisher. That's one of my strengths. It's not so much weaknesses. It's what will take a lot of energy out of me. So completer finisher wouldn't take much energy out of me. I would enjoy it. But someone else, they could do it, but it would take so much energy, they would drain. So it is role-based. There's 9 roles.
9 roles. Thank you, Bob. Yep, he's right.
Of course, I'm a completer finisher.
So again, I'm challenging you to make sure when you're saying you're making progress in your behavior and learning new things and experimenting and all that, but you're not measuring and you're not learning whether it's actually making a difference, whether you're actually making progress. That's a problem. We talk about measuring teams, how are they working, the engagement and the value and all that, but we never talk about how do we engage coaches to see if they're getting better.
Okay, I'm sending it.
Go ahead, Godwin.
I wanted to ask on that. Do you have to tell the people do you have to give it to them to write about you?
So you got several methods. Christina just mentioned the Belvin. The Belvin is a way that, yes, the people that work, you want a blend of people. Don't even sneak it. Don't even pick the people you like and say, oh yeah, we actually ask you, pick the people that you truly feel are going to give you honest feedback. That's the kind of feedback you want. And you get it, and then they answer these questions about you, what they perceive when they're communicating with you. And you want people that are actually interacting with you. And they even mention, don't do that for new teams. Do that for teams that have already been in existence for a certain amount of time so that you can get really, really good feedback. But it was pretty awesome. I was really excited about some of the things that came out of me. They said I was a plant. So now I just got to do this and just be frozen like this. No, a plant more like creative, like my creative juices. So I have a lot of like creativity. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm a good implementer. But when it comes with ideas, I have a lot. All right, awesome. So again, my challenge to you guys is to make sure you're using some of these tools. Any other cool tool out there that I see? The Myers-Briggs, a lot of people use the DISC assessment. What else are you seeing? Feedback. And I'm telling you this because I have this every day with the leaders that I'm coaching. Not one of them is freaking asking for feedback. They never go to their teams and say, what can I do better? What can I do better? Not one of them. Okay, so change that. Try to ask to see how you get that feedback. Okay, and you have to do it where you're not putting pressure on them. Find a method to get that information that it's not you stressing the hell out of them. You have to walk out of the room and maybe have a coach go in there and get that feedback. Okay? Everybody good with that? All right. The yardstick, okay? What does that mean? Like you actually have a, you measure how you're doing. Anybody want to talk about that one? Okay, I guess not. All right, let's move on to the next question. Go. So just the numbers, 95% of people think they're self-aware, but only 10 to 15% actually are. Okay, so again, I'm trying to challenge you when it comes to how well you know yourself. I've been doing that all session here. I really want to challenge you. Yes, you think you know yourself very well, but you never know. There's a lot there unknown that you got to figure out. Okay, go next. Okay, how aware are you of the culture of your organization? So now this is you being aware of your organization. So explain to you what the current culture of your organization is. Again, this is anonymous. This is your stuff to put in there. How is the culture of your organization? Come on, no one can see what's there. No one knows that it's you. Come on, give me the real dirt. I'm hungry for it. Haven't seen anything yet. There must be some good stuff you're writing there. If you're not currently working for a company, that's fine. Maybe the previous company. What is the current state of the culture of your organization? What is it? Give me some feedback. Wow. Good one. What's another one? We have principles that define that culture. Okay, I don't know what the principles are, but that's good. Working remotely, that's the culture of your organization, remote work. Okay. What defines your organization? What values? Startup culture, command and control. Wow, some of us have command and control. That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm excited for you. There's a lot of learnings there. Timesheet. I love timesheets. Those are beautiful. I want to write down how much time is it? How much time have we spent? Transforming, timesheet based, avoid uncertainty. They avoid uncertainty. Wow, well, that's an interesting culture. So this is great. So you got a good understanding of what your culture. Go to the next slide. Go back one more time. Go back one more time, Nelu, please. Want to make sure I put that. Explain the organization culture. So the question I have for you is, how do you know that's the current state of the culture? How do you know that? Anybody can answer that. How do you know that this is your current state of the organization? It's an easy answer. How do you know this is the current state of your organization?
So I put startup culture because we're essentially a new company, and we have a lot of all hand meetings once a week, and that's kind of what we're talking about, and what we're discussing, and what we're doing.
So I guess, I mean, that's just saying what you are, but not necessarily more the values of it, because you could be a startup culture, but I guess there's certain things that are involved with being a startup type, right? Where I guess there's less bureaucracy. I guess, are they much bureaucracy there, or there's less bureaucracy because you're all trying to just get things done, right? Everyone has to.
Yeah, it's less bureaucracy for sure.
Right. So the idea behind that, again, is the way you know is by you asking questions, by you having those conversations. How you know, those are the conversations that actually prove it out. Prove it out. All right, go next, Nathan. All right, explain your organization. Now, have you had a discussion, or do you understand what the future of your organization, where are they headed? And if you don't, just say, no, I have no freaking idea where they're headed. What is the future, the cultural future state of your, or aspirational state? What does your organization currently, aspire to be? Do you have that? So I'm curious if that's a cultural state, right? Industry leader. Is that a cultural state? A great place to work. Okay. So you're moving in that direction. You feel that they are all saying, we want this to be a great place to work. Industry leaders, intentionally working to be more transparent. No issues and proactive resolutions. To be aware and inclusive. So you guys have worked with your organization, or you're aware that they're saying this is what we inspire to be. And I would ask you again, how do you know this? Can someone answer, how do you know that this is where they're headed? Who can tell me, you're in an organization, these are the things that came up, how do you know that that's where they want to go?
I think for me, it's just having access to the CEO. He speaks to us on a weekly basis, sends us his thought leadership on Sundays. So just having transparency and communication with the entire team.
Love it. Love it. So you're getting feedback from senior levels of saying, this is where, and they're constantly giving you that communication saying, we're all headed in this direction together. We're all headed in this direction together. Awesome. Anybody else? How are you getting that feedback of the direction?
Corporate communications, I think, in general, with emails regularly and branding.
Love it. Love it. So again, the idea that the executive team is communicating to you the direction of where you're headed is vital. It's very important so that we can all build the culture that we need to do to go that way. If we're talking about leaders being successful, I'm going to be very frank with you here. You can be successful if you oblige by what the organization wants to go to. But they might not be going where you really feel is the right place. If you're an agile coach and people are not going in that direction, they're going the opposite, it's going to be fighting with you. It's going to be fighting with you. So you got to make sure you're in a company that direction is where you truly feel, you should be working in, right? So be careful with, you're going to have to understand what reality is telling you. This company is heading in this direction and I'm aware of it. And I have to either live with it or find another company. Okay, so the exercise we did today, again, was really more about trying to learn more about yourself and the company you're working for. This is stuff you should have with you at all times. This is your kit. This is your coaching kit. Anybody that comes in you, Christina, I'm going to go work for Ryder. Christina, I'm going to work. This is what she should be showing me. This is the culture of the organization. This is how we're working through it. These are my vulnerabilities. Because she wants me to work well with her. This is the communication from my peers. This is how I'm working with. She's coaching me to help me understand how I can be successful. This is the stuff that you should be coaching others with. This is your toolkit to coach others. You don't want to coach people. You don't want to say, I'm going to teach you how to fish. You're going to teach them how to teach others how to fish. So this is what this kit does for you. It allows you to start having those conversations. Think about having these kind of questions filled out, and then you meet with someone else, they fill it out, and you actually have a real strong conversation of understanding each other. There's a lot of learning, a lot of coaching that can happen with these kind of questions being filled out. Okay, so I gave you a little bit of those toolkits so that you guys can think through it. Time-wise, I only have a few minutes left. So I want to thank you guys for attending. Neilu, I would love to take a picture of the group. So I'm hoping that everyone turns on their cameras a second. And I'm going to pick on somebody to give us a very, you want to hit the lights a little bit there, Alex? To give us maybe an inspiring, wow, that's too much light. an inspiring quote or something. So who do I look around to look that can give me an inspiring quote? Let me think about this. Richard, are you there, sir? Can you unmute yourself, Richard? Come on. Is your mic
I am
working?
here. Yes.
Awesome. Richard,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's an inspiring quote that you would like to leave the team with? And as they coach and help others, what would you say?
Wow.
I'm sorry, Richard. I put you on the spot, man.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah. What's an inspiring thing that you want them to make sure as they're coaching, as they're helping people? What would you advise them?
Maybe go to someone else on this question.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. So somebody else that wants to give me an inspiring quote. I know, Victoria, you're not going to pick on me.
I have something on my wall.
I know, but I got to pick on other people.
Live long and prosper. There you go.
You gonna let him talk?
No,
I just did. I didn't ask.
No, you cannot ask. I'm going to pick on someone else. Let me
Know yourself.
Bill has been quiet, so I'm going to pick on Bill. Bill, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, sir. Give me an inspiring quote, something that you want, coaches to know as they're out there.
What's the one I heard the other day? The vindictiveness of inanimate objects.
Okay.
Don't think about it. Your car breaks down or something, and you take it personal. It's being vindictive on you. Maybe you drove it too hard. Maybe you didn't put in the high octane gas, and all of a sudden it's being vindictive.
My product owner said that the other day. My computer hates me.
See?
That's exactly
There
what
you
he
go.
said.
My code didn't compile properly.
Love it. Love it. All right, guys. Positive